Hello everyone, this is Angela and welcome to my channel, Angie the ENTJ. Please be sure to like, subscribe, comment, and click on the notifications bell so that you'll know whenever I upload any new content. See, when Roe versus Wade was overturned on June 24th, 2022, I actually woke up that day and I saw the news channel broadcasting the overturning of Roe versus Wade, and I went ahead, took my shower, did my meditation, and I immediately started doing oracle readings on that precise day about what was going on. Now, disclaimer, although I do practice Kemetic spirituality, or what was peculiar during the times of the ancient Egyptians, I am not, nor would I ever attempt to proselytize or get anyone to convert over to my spirituality. That's not how I operate. And I also have the same written disclaimer on my videos. So, disclaimer out of the way. What I do is share insights that I've obtained with others. And you can make of it whatever you choose. I just like to open the eyes of the people. You may find it coincidental or whatever. It's okay. See me more as of like a feminine Prometheus. You know, Prometheus, for those who don't know, was a Greek character who went against the gods and brought fire and light to mankind. The gods didn't want mankind to have light. They wanted to keep them in the dark. So they punished Prometheus, you know. But nevertheless, Prometheus did go against the rules in order to bring good things to the people. So just see me more as like that, minus the punishment, but someone who likes to bring a bit of light to people. So going back to the topic of this video, Roe versus Wade was overturned on a Friday. The significance of that to people like myself is that Friday, or Freya's Day, is associated with the delightful form of femininity, the part of us that is, you know, sociable, charming. We enjoy fashion, music, and entertainment. We're outgoing. We're on top of our manners. We want to do makeup, do hair. You know, this energy is also associated with sensuality. Okay, so when they did this to the women of the nation on that particular day, it was as if it was a slap in the faces of those ancient feminine deities. In my own Kemetic pantheon, she is known as Het Heru, and Friday is her day. Other forms or other ancient deities associated with Friday would be like Venus, Aphrodite, Oshun with the Orishas, and Lakshmi, who is in the Hindu pantheon. She is the goddess of wealth, fortune, power, luxury, beauty, fertility, and auspiciousness. So, are they not worried about the birth rates and the economy right now? Coincidence, huh? So, beyond it being a coincidence, I perform oracle readings, which is, from my worldview, a way for me to ask the Creator directly for insight on, you know, different situations. And one of the questions I asked was, how should women react towards the overturning of Roe versus Wade in a way that will, you know, benefit our spiritual growth? That response was a bit extensive, and I will include a link to that particular video in the description box. So, but what I'll show today is a snippet. And what it showed was hexagram number 24. First, it started with 2. 2 represents like everything that is feminine to the core. It's hexagram number 2 in the I Ching. Okay. But it showed a conversion to hexagram number 24, which describes a turning point. The image of it kind of looks like someone who's sitting down and crossing their legs, which is something that I'll point out while the snippet is playing. And I also said it in the video. This video was uploaded nearly 2 years ago. So right now, we'll watch the snippet and then I will return with my commentary. Moving along to the 24th hexagram, which represents a turning point. Let's take a look at the symbol for the turning point just for a second. Do you see what I see? It looks like someone that is crossing their legs. Now let's take a look at the hexagrams. Here's what the second hexagram looks like, pure without any stress lines. It almost looks like the entryway to the womb. Now here's how it appears when the sixth line is stressed. And when a line is stressed, this means that it changes to another hexagram. So here's hexagram number 2, and now hexagram number 24. So from a pictorial standpoint, there is a blockage to the womb. Now in this instance, the oracle has something to express to the women. That is, you should have never been placed into a position where you had to make such a devastating decision for the sake of your life. By that, I mean you shouldn't have been mistreated, oppressed, abandoned, or any of the reasons that typically bring them to the doorstep of the abortion clinic. However, this is a recognition that you did what your feminine energy guided you to do, and that was to be protective of your unborn child by not bringing him or her into harsh conditions. However, you were not meant to decimate a part of who you are because of a weakened masculinity and its sidekick, the corrupt feminine. The I Ching is not approving of abortion because it is a life that is created by God. However, it is understanding in its response that you should have never been placed here to begin with. It is not your fault that you lived in an oppressed state where your very essence was seen as a joke. What you can do is block your womb, and this will cause everything to turn around to the way that it should be. It will force the strong masculine to hold the weak masculine accountable, which will in turn oust the corrupt feminine as well. Okay, y'all, I'm back. So I can't be pulling this out of thin air because, again, this is from a video that was published nearly 2 years ago where the oracle revealed what appeared like somebody crossing their legs, right? So as I mentioned earlier, I've included a link in the description box to this particular video. So if you want to watch the reading being performed in its entirety, you can see it there. Now, aside from being an oracle reader, I do have more than 25 years of insight on the parallels we are seeing within the West 4B movement and how they are similar to what we were talking about 25 years ago, more than 25 years ago, in the context of the original natural hair movement. And we have been here before in terms of cutting off dusty males and leaving them to their own devices. Except back then, it was about picking a better man. Now, if that movement had not been hijacked and things would have went according to how we hadn't intended it to go, then there would not be a West 4B movement. And the reason why is because the issues that the participants of the West 4B movement are reacting to were issues that we attempted to address way back when, but these movement hijackers came along and they did what they did, and now they are here. They are the reason why the women are reacting the way that they are acting. And I support the West 4B movement fully. Like I said, I'm their official big cousin. If you mess with them, you got to mess with me too. Now, like I said, since the natural hair movement was hijacked and they turned it to crap, that's the reason why women around the world are saying, you know what? It's okay if we go extinct. What's the point? You see, and listen, humanity has been here before as well. If you think about the stories in the Bible of Jonah and the well, or Noah and the flood, each story involves men being stubborn before something involving water checked him. I need you to look at it from a big picture point of view. Okay. Well, listen, the ancients associated femininity with water. This is because, yes, water can quench your thirst. You can take a bath in it. It's so much you can do with water. Water helps the crops grow, So it's so much that can happen with water. So people tend to take water for granted until you're facing a flood or a storm. Then they understand and appreciate the power of the water, because the water can take you out in the form of a drowning. So in terms of the story of Noah and the flood, Noah represented someone who was obedient and was spared from the flood or the surge of feminine energy that was about to put everything back into balance. Everybody who wasn't aboard the ark, or basically who did not get with the program, got left behind and destroyed because the flood, aka women, weren't taking it anymore. In terms of Jonah and the well, again, it's framed in terms of him being in the belly of the fish, and a fish, where does it live? It lives in water. Well, Jonah is the example of a good man who is afraid to speak up because he's surrounded by a bunch of ignorant old male cusses who will bully him and abuse him if he goes against their grain. And rather than embrace the bravery associated with masculinity and confront his people to mend his ways, Jonah tried to hightail it out of town and move away. So what happened is that a storm, again, water or the feminine energy, held him accountable. Jonah and the well is an allegory to show what happens when men who try to scheme and be stubborn are confronted with women no longer cooperating with them because the conditions are too hostile for them to exist. And what happened? Jonah could not escape the storm, even though he tried to. For those who are familiar with the story of Jonah and the well, he could not escape the storm, or he could not escape the feminine energy holding him accountable. And Jonah ended up being released by the fish and doing what he was initially told to do after praying and begging for 3 days straight for forgiveness in the belly of the well. Now, the number 3 is associated with ancient deities like Sebek or Anubis or Elegba or Mercury and so forth. This masculine energy, according to the ancients, is a successful energy promoting travel and education and, breaking things down to a level where it's more understanding. When it's good to look at the big picture, but sometimes it's okay to understand each moving part. So this energy does that. And it does it when it's in a balanced state. However, when it gets out of balance, it is associated with lying and scheming. And this particular energy, too, is what I call a gateway energy, meaning that you need to have the key in order to unlock the balanced and successful potential associated with it. And the key is for the masculine to be in balance according with nature, to be educated and willing to understand things before engaging. The key is not, nor will it ever be, some jack-legged philosophy. The key is not brute force. The key is not, some lie or some scheme or anything like that. The key is what it is. It either opens the door or it doesn't, right? So all of this pertains to the powers that be, you see, because they have run out of their supply for their lies and for their schemes, and that's why they are all panicking. And on top of it all, here we are, little do you know it. But in the Kemetic calendar, April 2024 is a month that is associated with Het-Heru or Hathor in the Greek name. Again, remember earlier I told you June 24, 2022 was the day that Roe versus Wade was overturned, and that day fell on a Friday. It was the day of Het-Heru and all of the other ones who I named earlier. Now, coincidentally, Fair Housing Month falls in April, and it just so happens that the Het in Het-Heru happens to mean house. And also, coincidentally, the hashtag West4B movement took off and took traction in this month. So they overturned Roe versus Wade on a day, and the women have a month, an entire month associated with that same energy, okay, to deal with the aftermath. So basically, if the collective of men who are corrupt, who are lying, who are scheming and scamming, if they do not mend their ways, the next energy that's coming for them is going to be that of Sekhmet. For instance, the Wiccan sisters and the warlocks noted that on the day that Roe versus Wade was overturned, ravens were flying counterclockwise, I believe around the Capitol building. Some of it says the Capitol building, some of it says the Supreme Court building. But anyway, they were down below protesting. And when they signed the bill overturning Roe versus Wade, the crows started flying counterclockwise around the building. And so according to them, this is a sign of reversal. This is a sign of something is about to be undone.
Okay, pagans, Wiccans, whatever your belief, the crows are flying counterclockwise in a circle around the Capitol building. Any mediums get a read off that? Because I know mine didn't look good.
Oh boy, the Supreme Court is screwed. Alright, for those of you that are not pagans, i.e. witches, druids, wiccas, witch, all sorts of paganry. If you see a bunch of crows doing that, that means change is about to cometh, and someone's gonna die. It also indicates that the gods and goddesses are not happy with somebody, and they are coming to wreak some havoc. Yeah. Other times it's a good thing, but what's going on is a bad thing and a good thing at the same time. So interesting. Yeah.
Okay, I'm back. So the crow or the raven is associated within the Wiccan pantheon, I believe, with the Morrigan. These ancient energies, such as Sekhmet, the Morrigan, in Hindu, she's known as in the Hindu pantheon, she's known as Kali. Listen, they arrive on the scene. They begin to show up when the men double down in their ignorance and become unrelenting. In the Bible, from my own Kemetic perspective, Sekhmet's energy is the equivalent of Armageddon. These are the types of energies that will go for the jugular. So there's an opportunity for unsuitable males to change their ways. They can start to read their own Bible and become like Jonah did, confront the other men and tell them to mend their ways. However, if they don't, the next step is whatever you want to call it, but it will appear in the form of what ancients described it thousands of years ago as a corrective feminine energy. This is an energy that reacts. It goes for the jugular. It cannot be outmatched. And I see like everything from the women protesting wearing the hijab in Iran to other types of protests throughout the world. But the one where the women tore off their hijabs, that's a big one. That is Sekhmet's energy. That's just the beginning stage of Sekhmet's energy. because Sekhmet is that bold feminine energy that doesn't care. Her mouth is reckless. It comes out as it comes out. There's no filter. And she goes for the jugular. And also, this is a time for real men to stand up, because, believe it or not, they have been bullied and abused too. However, that is their battle. Nobody is going to hold their hand. They have to hold their own cojones, okay? And as of right now, the collective of women are leaving them to sort it out amongst themselves. And I truly support it. The oracles forecasted this happening nearly 2 years ago. The Wiccans saw it when the crows were circling around the building counterclockwise during the justifiable protests against the overturning of Roe versus Wade. So I'd like to thank you for watching. That's all I have to say for now. Please be sure to like, subscribe, comment, and click on the notifications bell so that you'll know whenever I upload any new content. Take care until next time.